I need to do something with this hair. I look like a fucking acorn. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about something I have wanted to talk about for a little while now. The time is now. I'm feeling motivated and I feel like I have the experience to finally talk about the Seoul National University Korean language learning system. Before we get started, I really quickly want to clarify that in today's review, I'm going to be talking about systems 1 through 4, both books A and B. And that is because it does go up to level 6, though groups 5 and 6 are written by a different author. And quite honestly, they don't really resemble one another. A little disappointing, to say the least. So if you want a review on systems 5 and 6, let me know, and when I finish them, I will happily tell you all how much I dislike them. Ooh! Anyway, I want to jump into talking about how much I absolutely love this system before I go on a rampage of talking about how much I dislike the author who wrote 5 and 6. See, I'm getting started already. For reference, the inserts I will be showing are going to be from the Seoul National University Korean's book 4A, in case you were wondering. So like I said before, Seoul National University Korean, or 서울대 한국어, is a Korean language learning textbook system that was created at Seoul National University and is, in my experience, the gold standard for learning Korean on your own or out here in the Korean language institution programs, such as the program that I'm currently in. Every school is different. Some schools create their own system. Some schools take other schools' systems. And for example, I am nowhere near Seoul, South Korea. I'm here in Daegu, but my university chose to use the Seoul National University program just because it has such a good reputation out here in Korea. So the system is broken up into levels 1 through 6, similar to the TOPIK test. If you're not familiar with the TOPIK test, it's the test of proficiency in Korean. It's a test that is not mandatory to take, but important to take for people who want to immigrate to Korea or for people who want certain scholarship opportunities or education opportunities here in Korea. Level 1 would be the most basic introductory level, and level 6 being the highest or most fluent. That is not to say that if you finish level 6 in these textbooks that you are going to get a level 6 on the TOPIK test. That is just how the books are broken up. If I had to guess, I would say that level 6 in the Korean language learning system would equate to, if you studied very well, getting a level 4 on the TOPIK test, which is still a very high score. It's considered fluent, but that's not what we're talking about. Anyway, I was first introduced to this program as a Christmas gift from my really good friend Christina, and actually now roommate. She was using this system when she first came to Korea and studied at Yonsei University. She absolutely adored the system and knew that I had a passion for learning Korean, and so she was very, very, very kind enough to lend me the system, and even for Christmas, gave me some of the textbooks. So before I came to Korea to do the Korean Language Institute, I was familiar with the system and really, really enjoyed using it. Like all language learning systems, you're going to have a CD that goes through audio and listening practices, as well as chapters that are going to be broken up into subjects such as food, getting a job, travel. So at the start of every chapter, you are going to be introduced to your topic. If you're following the CD, which I do recommend you do, there's going to be a roughly 30-second introductory listening exercise that introduces you to the vocabulary as well as the grammar that you are going to learn. Following that, you're going to have a number of different vocabulary words pertaining to the subject, of course. You're going to want to go ahead and learn those. You get the drill. Following that, you're going to have 2 grammar and expression exercises. What I absolutely love about this textbook is how the grammar and expressions are introduced in every lesson. First and foremost, what I think is amazing about this system is that when you start with book 1, there is minimal English. Just enough English to get your foot in the door and get you understanding what you need to understand to move forward and be successful in this system and with learning Korean. From there, they slowly begin to wean you off of the English. And I think this is very important because if you are being taught a foreign language in your native language, you're not really learning that language. You're teaching yourself how to translate into that language. So, what I think this book does a beautiful job of doing is giving you a solid foundation in Korean and then proceeding to teach you Korean by building on that foundation of your Korean knowledge. That in mind, starting with book, I want to say 2, most everything is in Korean. But do not be scared. If you really do not understand something, you can go to the back of the book and find English translations in absolutely everything. From explanations of the grammar point to all of the listening and reading exercises. Another thing that I think is so remarkable about the textbooks is that the authors putting this together dedicated a lot of time and effort into figuring out what grammar and expressions should be taught in what order. The flow of the book is really quite remarkable, and they pace you in a way that I think I've never experienced in another language learning system to date. They managed to create a very natural flow from one grammar point to the next so that everything you need to know before moving forward has been taught to you. I think it's something very difficult to explain without actually experiencing it for yourself, but I very rarely have felt overwhelmed by what I'm being taught. And then we come right to the reading. The reading is anything from dialogue to a mini story. Sometimes you'll see advertisements, emails, whatever's gonna get the job done. Most often, it's dialogue. Following that, you've got some speaking exercises, and then you're brought to the second grammar and expression educational area. Educational area? Portion? I don't know. Whatever. Listen, I'm not a teacher, I'm a student, okay? More often than not, you're introduced to 4 grammar points or expressions. However, in some cases, mostly in, I'd say, systems 2 and 3, if there's a very important or very difficult, I don't like using that word, but higher level grammar point, they will try to just teach you that grammar point and go from there and not overwhelm you, which is another thing I really do appreciate. Though, more often than not, you're going to be introduced to 4 grammar and expression points per chapter. Following that, you get another reading exercise and speaking exercise, and then we come to the listening. So what you can do is you can refer to the CD that you get in the back of the book, and this, I think, is a really big highlight of the textbook system because the people who they got to voice this do such a great job. It definitely has a very lively and almost like voice acting feel to it. Very rarely am I bored. What I will say about the listening is that they do push you. They throw in a lot of the grammar that you've just learned But they also include grammar that you've been learning so that you are not forgetting it, you're actively using it. But I will say that across the board, I do think that the listening exercises are definitely the most challenging. They're not impossible, but they are they do really test your Korean ability. Following that, it's sort of up to the discretion of the authors. You can get more reading exercises, you can get cultural notes, writing exercises. Even in some cases, you'll get some tips on how to speak more like a native. But they're never useless tidbits of information. They're always, oh my god, I'm gonna sneeze. Right in the book. Right in the book. Some lucky person's gonna get this secondhand book. Where was I going with this? Yes. So what happens after the listening exercise is really dependent on what system you're using, if you're in 1, 2, 3, or 4. But usually you get another reading, a writing, and you could get a cultural note, a pronunciation tip, or sometimes you'll just get sometimes you'll get like a cute little comic. What's cool about the cultural notes is that they're usually really interesting bits of Korean history or culture that actually add to your understanding of the language. In books 1 through 2, a lot of the pronunciation lessons are quite valuable because they help you to speak more like a native. But that's how the book is set up. Now, the other key component to using this system and getting the most out of it is going to be the workbook. Now, I know a lot of people do decide, I just want to go with the textbook. I think that that's going to be the most useful and the most cost-effective. And I hear you, and I, to an extent, do agree. However, the workbook is extremely affordable and goes so beautifully with the textbook. Another really important thing about the workbook is that they can introduce new vocab words to you. You're not going to learn anything crucial, but every once in a while you will really pick up on some great new vocab by using the workbook. Not only do you get introduced to new vocab words, but it's set up in a very similar way, so you're getting that really intelligent and intuitive delivery method just in a workbook form. In my experience studying the system before coming to Korea, the book alone was fine, but my Korean really improved when I started to actively use the workbook here in class. So what do I think of the system? I think it's phenomenal. Out of all of the systems that I have tried, I think that Seoul National University Korean is the best for learning Korean in a very natural and intuitive. You don't have to be a student out here in Korea to pick this textbook up. They are available on Amazon. In fact, I've used Amazon to purchase them in the past. I think to anyone out there who wants a fun, whimsical, and just enjoyable system to learn Korean with, you are not going to find a system that's better than this, quite honestly. I really don't have anything negative to say. I sing their praises constantly. Every day I go to school and I use this system, I feel happy and excited. And even when I'm home doing homework, it does not feel like a chore because it's so well produced. Now, in the description, I don't know what my hair is doing. I really am an acorn, I swear. In the description, you will find Amazon affiliate links to the books if you're interested. And other than that, if you have any questions about the system, let me know. This was not sponsored. Seoul National University wasn't like, oh, hey girl, you want to do a little video for us? No, I really just wanted to help some people out there get a really, really, really great Korean learning experience. But like I said, in the description below, you will find everything just on Amazon. You can go and pick them up. And I want to know if you have any questions about the system, if you've used the system yourself, what do you think of it? Maybe you know of a system or a website that I've never heard of and that you really like. I want to hear. If you haven't watched some of my other videos too, I love to hear other people's methods when it comes to learning languages, especially learning Korean. And if you have any other ideas, videos I could make in the future, just let me know. I'm all ears. Thank you so much, everyone, and I will see you in court.